Who would have thought that observing an unusual stellar phenomenon would have highly unexpected repercussions for the entire quadrant of the galaxy? It's time to talk about, analyze, review, break down, and rant about Star Trek Strange New Worlds 4th season premiere episode, Valles Marineris.
Spoiler alert! Hit it!
We start with Pike, La'an, and Dr. Mpenga riding horses on an alien planet, which feels like a nice change of pace. We caught up with them as they were finishing a covert mission, supplying a population with much-needed medicine, and now they were riding far enough away not to be seen beaming out.
So, they were breaking the Prime Directive without actually breaking the Prime Directive?
Oh, it certainly looks that way.
And as they get back, Una informs Pike that Admiral April is here to see him. He came to tell him that he's been considered for a promotion to Commodore.
Whoa, that's not something he's gonna be interested in, I bet. Well, how much time has he got before the accident, Commander?
Not sure, Doc. It's been 6 months since the end of Season 3. He can't have that many years left. And while Pike's pondering his options, we catch up with Uhura and Ortegas, as well as a new Vulcan cadet who just joined the crew.
And she doesn't appear to get on with Uhura, like, at all.
So this week's mission is to explore a Category 10 interstellar squall.
What's a squall?
It's a sudden sustained increase in wind speed, Gigi. Not sure how that relates to space, but I'm sure we'll find out.
And there's Pelia once more insisting she once traveled in a phone box. Why are the current producers of Star Trek still trying to make a crossover between their show and Doctor Who happen? It ain't happening, folks. It would be horrendous if it did. The timelines don't match in the slightest. It's ridiculous, absurd, preposterous. And I want you to stop it.
I second that emotion.
Well, let's ignore this attempt at franchise crossovering for now and carry on with the story, shall we?
Fine. But I've got my eye on you.
The Enterprise has reached the squall and is keeping a safe distance. Thankfully, there are no habitable planets or any living beings nearby, so they're just there to observe and marvel at the phenomenon's beauty.
Not so fast, Commander. Uhura's getting a signal.
It's a mayday from inside the storm.
So the Enterprise decides to go into the squall to investigate.
Why, isn't that dangerous?
Well, you've got to answer a mayday, Gigi. Uhura figures out it's a buoy, but not much more than that, just as the squall is getting too dangerous. So Pike orders the ship to turn back. But it's too late. The Enterprise is thrown into an eddy and disappears into a maelstrom of light and gravity. And reappears somewhere.
They've lost most of their power, no transporters, barely any impulse, and no iridium, without which they can't fire up the warp drive.
Pike orders the sending of her Mayday buoy to...
Oh yeah!
Well, yeah, they're in dire straits. They need help, McCluck.
Yeah, but we were told the squall messes up with space-time. How much do you want to bet that they've just been thrown back in time and the distress signal they initially received was their own?
Well, whether you're right or not...
Oh, I'm right. You'll see. Predestination paradox, here we come.
They still need to fix the ship, and thankfully there are 3 M-class plants nearby, and one of them has iridium.
How's that for luck?
But without transporters...
They have one working shuttle, Gigi. And Una's going on an away mission at last.
Oh, good. She had been asking for one for a while.
So, Ortegas, La'an, and Una land the shuttle on a strange new world.
About time, too. For a show called Strange New Worlds, there's been a dearth of Strange New Worlds in far too many previous episodes.
Well, this one is strange indeed, and far in the distance, directly in the way of the iridium, is a rather large creature.
How large?
Hard to tell, Gigi. It is hidden behind trees, but, large. Well, La'an's not taking any chances, and since the ship's got no phasers, she decides to use her hand phaser on it.
Just like that. Whatever happened to chain of command?
You mean like when Ortegas makes fun of Scotty's accent? Oh, come on, that was funny. It may have been funny, Gigi, but it's totally inappropriate. Where's the respect? Where's the discipline?
To be fair, Scotty's been irritating her with messages on her console every time she jolts the ship a little too much.
The eternal conflict between the person who uses the ship and the person who maintains it.
There's no conflict at all, Doc. The engineer is always right.
So, La'an shoots the wee beastie, and no sooner has she done that something massive grabs the ship.
Coincidence? I think not. Whoa there, Gigi. Correlation does not equal causation.
Right you are, Doc. And that's confirmed when Pike tries to hail them. Those aliens are here to claim the Enterprise as salvage.
Out of the frying pan into the fire.
The crew learned that ship, and hence that species, is at war with another, and the Enterprise is merely collateral. So in an attempt to stall, Pike invites the leader aboard, who mistakenly thinks that it's just so that he can show her his weapons. and she agrees.
She wants to see his weapons, eh?
Not those kinds of weapons, McCluck.
Oh, if this was Kirk's Enterprise, it would be.
Well, be that as it may, Spock comes up with yet another wrinkle. He's pinpointed their location. They're back in the Sol system.
What? But the Sol system, our system, doesn't have 3 AIM-class planets.
Well, looks like it did, 65 million years ago.
What?
Yeah, they were hurled through time as well as space.
And they're now being towed by that alien ship towards Mars.
So I'm guessing their enemies are the Venusians. Okay, well, let's ignore the fact that time travel was deemed to be impossible until the Naked Time episode, which occurred during the original series' first season.
Ugh, Star Trek Enterprise skewed all of that already, what with the temporal Cold War and the fact that the crew of the NX-01 were far too well aware of time travel because of it.
And Season 2 of Discovery also had time travel, guys.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Star Trek's timeline is so messed up.
And it looks like it's going to be far more messed up now. Indeed, because we all know that 65 million years ago, the Earth was populated with
dinosaurs.
But there's no time to be shocked by that, as the Martians phase through the bulkhead to appear on the deck right next to the transporter room where Pike and the crew were expecting them.
Funny how they thought the Martians would have transporter technology, as if that tech is like a universal one, even 65 million years ago.
Well, it turns out they don't have that tech, but instead they have some kind of phasing technology which is unknown to the Federation.
Interesting how human those Martians look, save for the elongated ears.
I'm sure that won't become relevant as the story progresses.
So, on Dino Earth, Una and the gang have to find a way to get past the T-Rex, and Una's plan is to stun it in the mouth to knock it out.
And it works! I'm just surprised they couldn't lift off and scan for another deposit of iridium, one with fewer dinos nearby.
Well, that's not how the story's progressing, McCluck.
Yes, of course, but that would have been an obvious solution.
You're forgetting how rare iridium is, McCluck, and since this is Earth has very little of it.
Well, the T-Rex is stunned for now, so off they go to get the iridium.
Back on the ship, Pike and the gang discuss with the Martian commander about the Federation and how communicating and the sharing of knowledge is far more important and beneficial to all species in the Alliance.
By contrast, the Martian commander shows her home planet and how it was devastated when the doldrums, which I can only assume are the Venusians, crashed on one side of her world, killing 2 million people and staining that side of Mars red.
The Martians can't communicate with them. They're insects, and all they see them do is consume and move on.
So, Pike offers the Federation's expertise in this matter and shows the Martians all the insectoid species the Federation has been able to communicate with over the years, in various ways, to posit the possibility of being able to communicate with the doldrums.
The Martian commander appears to entertain the idea.
Oh, that's good news. Peace is far preferable to war. But, hang on. Won't anything the Enterprise do affect the past and hence the present? What exactly is Pike doing?
Well, it could be what Pike is doing is what Pike has done all along. Classic predestination paradox, Doc. He was sent back in time to fulfill his destiny.
Yeah, but we know the future. We know Mars is a lifeless red planet and Venus is pretty inhospitable too. Huh, you think they mutually destroyed each other?
Well, whatever Pike's doing, it looks like they're stuck in the past anyway. Spock realizes that quantum entanglement brought them here, and only quantum entanglement can send them back.
Well, that's not how quantum entanglement works, Commander.
But worse still, for them to be able to go back, they need the force of a supernova for the quantum entanglement to yank them back to their present.
That's definitely not how quantum entanglement works. They're just using fancy sciencey words to make their predicament sound plausible.
Well, at least it's a milder version of technobabble that plagued the golden age of Star Trek and especially its Voyager series.
Can't argue with that.
While that's happening, the Martians phase through the floor and stole the ship's primary antimatter fuel cell.
It turns out, when Pike showed her the ship's computer to try and communicate with the doldrums, she figured out when in time the Enterprise came from, which changed her entire perspective, especially as she realized her world is now long dead, which is why she stole the antimatter.
Now, back on Earth, our away team finds the source of iridium, a wrecked ship.
Ah, so they just couldn't fly away and find another source. Take that, McCluck.
Right, well, okay, good job, writers, on that front.
The iridium's inside and Una's off to get it.
And while she's doing that, Ortegas and Lahan find damaged cryopods. This was like a cedar ship looking for a new home.
A new home on Dino Earth?
Well, it looks that way, but it also looks like they all died as they crashed.
You mean as they were shot down by the Martians?
You think those are doldrums?
It's not entirely clear, Mouse, but just how many species can we encounter in a single episode, eh?
But there's no time for that.
as Una comes back with the iridium and another dinosaur suddenly jumps out in front of them.
And Lahan punches it right in the face.
Well, that's one way to do it.
So they get back to the shuttle without any further incident, and off they go back to the Enterprise. In sickbay, though, we learn that Lahan broke her hand hitting that dino, yet she didn't feel any pain.
Is it her augmented DNA? It could well be.
But that's something to worry about for a later episode, as the alien iridium pod has been integrated into the ship and the power is coming back online.
Right on time. Good job, Scotty.
Pike is unable to persuade the Martian commander from not using her new antimatter weapon.
So she's just gonna bomb Venus?
No, not Venus. There's another planet between Mars and Jupiter.
No, there isn't.
There is, at this point in time.
This episode's full of surprises, isn't it?
The planet is home to billions of arachnids, the doldrums. The Enterprise does everything it can to try and stop the detonation, until Pike hesitates. There is no planet between Mars and Jupiter in his time.
Well, glad someone remembered. What do you mean, Doc? There's an asteroids field there in our current solar system, JJ.
So, he orders to do nothing. The planet and billions of doldrums are annihilated, and the Martian ship is destroyed in the process. But thankfully, Spock believes the energy released by the explosion could be enough to send the Enterprise back to the future.
That's one heck of 1.21 gigawatts.
And after some 10 seconds, the Enterprise disappears.
Only for us to see a large fragment of that doldrum planet hit Earth. Oh, it was the meteor that destroyed the dinosaurs.
Turns out we have a lot to thank Pike and the gang for.
And all it took was the destruction of 5 billion arachnoids.
Not only that, Doc, but the explosion of the fifth planet shifted the orbit of Mars, eventually rendering it lifeless.
Just like what happened to SETI Alpha 5.
History repeats itself, Gigi.
It rhymes, Mouse. It rhymes.
So yeah, a classic predestination paradox that went way further than just the Enterprise responding to its own buoy at the start.
Way further.
And to make Pike feel better, Mbega tells him Martian DNA is present throughout the galaxy, so the Martians did survive, somehow.
Just like that dinosaur species did, you know, from that Voyager episode, where we learned that there was a dino civilization at the time of the meteor strike.
So many sentient species in the Sol system.
A little later on, Pike meets up with April again, who tells him they'll be keeping all of this humongous revelation a secret for now.
How are they going to keep that secret? There are hundreds of crew members who all saw what happened.
Well, they've managed to keep the secret of Discovery's very existence, haven't they?
Good point. It makes you wonder just how many secrets the Federation is holding on to.
And as expected, Pike turns down the promotion, but recommends Una be promoted to commander instead.
Oh, well deserved.
And after a little chit-chat with other crew members, and growing animosity between Ortegas and Scotty,
I know who I'm siding with that one.
We end with Una recounting her dino experience with impressive shots of Earth 65 million years ago. The end.
Right, well, first off, that last shot was so disappointing. What do you mean? It was sweeping and impressive. There was grass, JJ. What about grass? Although grass is roughly 70 to 80 million years old, up until 20 to 25 million years ago, it was incredibly rare, surviving in shades in forests. You wouldn't see raptors running over grassland.
Well, at least they gave us feathery dinos.
That they did, Mouse.
Plus, you have to remember, this isn't a documentary. This was a space adventure, and considering the constraints of a TV show budget, I thought it was very well done and very well constructed.
Yeah, okay, but you can't argue that this fun reveal would have been so much more impactful had it not been spoiled by the trailer.
It could have been another planet other than Earth, McCluck. Parallel evolution and all that, right?
Oh, of course. But when the dominoes started falling and the crew realized where they were, we knew before they did what they were about to see, which was disappointing. And it's just worth mentioning it all. Trailers spoil, and it's best not to see them if you're interested in the show or movie.
But they're so tempting, McCluck.
I know, Gigi. Just like corners. But we must exercise restraint lest it ruins a particularly fun surprise.
I can't argue with you on that point, McCluck. But despite that, this was a good start to the season, especially after the lackluster start which seemed to be no more than the Enterprise responding to its own distress call. Yeah, it became so much more than that. I also liked how the mystery was progressively revealed. A solar system with 3 M-class planets, which turned out to be our solar system, which made us think, quite reasonably, that this was going to be Mars, Earth, and Venus, until a 5th planet was revealed. That's what I meant by well-constructed. Every piece of the mystery answered some questions and revealed others while playing on our own expectations and assumptions.
The only downside was the dilemma Pike had to destroy the antimatter bomb or not. Anyone who knows our solar system knows there's an asteroid belt between Mars and the gas giants.
But even that was well handled, I thought. And as far as predestination paradoxes go, this was a pretty big one.
The gimmick to hurl them into the past and back into the present was absurd, though.
Yeah, you can't win them all, Doc. And you're right, it made zero sense. Still, blowing up a planet to travel in time isn't something you can do every day.
Not like slingshotting around a star, eh?
Exactly, although that technique hadn't been invented yet.
Well, how about the fact Martians look like humans?
It's hard to find aliens in the Screen Actors Guild, McCluck. Plus, this is Star Trek. Aliens almost always look human, don't they?
I did appreciate the fact that they made a point of referring to Mars as lighter gravity and showing Martians as taller than humans as a result.
So yeah, this was a pretty good episode. It was fun, it was original, it revealed its mystery in a very satisfying way. We even start with a fun romp on horseback.
Seems every captain of the Enterprise loves horseback riding. Pike does it, Kirk does it, Picard does it. They all do it.
And Pike's still mourning the loss of Patel, which is why he buried himself in his work for the last 6 months.
He also lived an entire lifetime with her in like a parallel reality. That's not something you can easily brush aside.
Yeah, just ask Picard.
That segment was probably the best part of that season finale. The rest was just appalling.
We're not here to judge last season's finale, McCluck.
That's right. We already did that.
Before we wrap up, I'd like to bring up a particular issue of mine.
You have the floor, Doc.
I'd like to understand how a computer designed to show the Martians how other insectoid species communicate with each other would reveal to the Martian commander not only how the Federation measures time, but that the Enterprise was 65 million years in the past. To fully know that, she would need a common frame of reference. Add to that, her learning that current Mars is a dead world. How did she have access to that? And don't get me started, how she got to understand the schematics of the ship and the power of matter-antimatter reactions, which, from my understanding, they don't have in her culture.
That's quite a chunky issue there, Doc.
All stemming from insectoid linguistics, McCluck.
Well, while you're at it, how did she figure out how to turn the matter-antimatter fuel cell she stole into a planet-destroying bomb in no time at all?
Good point. In a show which thrust our heroes 65 million years into the past to meet dinosaurs preposterously using quantum entanglement, that particular chain of events stretch credibility.
Okay, well, how about the fact that the universal translator not only translates words, but finds different meanings for them based on the speaker's emotional center?
That was actually quite interesting and made sense when you think about it, and it was very poignant that without even realizing it, Pike was drawing on his loss of Patel when explaining how alone a species is without alliances.
So you see, they had good ideas too.
They did. Hey, did you just try to distract me from my very salient points?
I did, Doc, mostly because, although you're right, taking into account the story's flow and pacing, seeing how the Martian commander got to figure out all of that would have slowed it all down, losing the momentum. I'm not saying you're wrong, you actually make a good point, but sometimes reality has to take a back seat. Doing this is sometimes more effective than others, and I think in this case, it was okay. Actually, considering how naive Starfleet officers can be, it could be their safeguards weren't up to specs as they should have been, and the Martian commander just managed to get all the info she needed out of her overly helpful computer AI.
We do love to help people and show off our knowledge.
Yeah, okay, I could buy that.
I must say, considering how disappointed we all had been with Season 3, this is a very good start to the season, and I'm now looking forward to more adventures.
Aye, aside from the complaints we highlighted along the way, it was a fun and enjoyable episode.
So that's pretty much all we have to say about this episode. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll give you the response you deserve. We caught up with them as they were finishing a coup.
Wait, could be what Pike is doing is what Pike has been.
You're forgetting how rare iridium.
It's hard to find aliens in the screen. It's hard to find aliens in the Screen Actors.